After another great week of college football, we have a lot to talk about. I'm joined at the desk by Drew Gentry and Cam Taylor to break down the action. So, Drew, starting with you, what is the biggest story from this past weekend?
Appalachian State making the top 25 in FBS. It proves that a team can come from FCS to FBS. Get out of the FCS, North Dakota State is my one headline out of that. You have dominated for years. App State did the same thing in the mid-early 2000s. They beat Michigan. North Dakota State beat Iowa. They've dominated big-name powerhouses. Why aren't you up there? Go make your money. Become better than App State, and you can compete. You've made the top 25 as an FCS opponent. Why don't you want to be the FBS and have a chance to actually go play for a bowl that, not that FCS doesn't mean something, but FBS, it does matter.
All right, Cam, what's your
My big story this week was Tyler Trent, the student at Purdue University, and their huge upset win over Ohio State over the weekend. Tyler Trent is a 20-year-old sophomore battling bone cancer. It's an unfortunate story. He had to drop out this semester and go enter into hospice care. But the team and community were rooting for him and pulling for him this weekend to go get that win, and they pulled it off, a huge upset win this weekend.
I saw that on College Game Day. Very moving story. And, I remember he was like, I want them to beat Ohio State. They're going to beat Ohio State, and they go out and they do it. It was a huge story. Great game. Sticking with you, what is the biggest game from this past weekend?
I go back to that Purdue game. I'm an Ohio State fan, obviously, and OSU was a 12.5-point favorite, and they lost by 29. This is the first time Purdue's beat a top 2 team in 32 years, which was also Ohio State back in the 80s. And this was just this year's Iowa. This game was brewing for weeks. The defense has been piss poor all year, honestly. The linebacker play, they're just missing coverages.
I'll just give you that. I agree. Big upset potentially knocks the Big Ten as a whole conference out of the playoff bracket. But I'm going to stay in that conference and go with Nebraska. Nebraska getting their first win of the season, but they still have been selling out their stadium. They didn't even just win by a small amount. They won by 25. Yes, Purdue won by 29, but 25, you won 53-28, putting up those kind of numbers in your first win, and you're finally giving the Cornhuskers that win they've been striving for. I saw a video right before that game, 0-6, and they're still sold out. How many programs would do that?
Not many.
Absolutely none that I can think of, at least. It's just a huge win for that program, and hopefully they get a little something going, and you never know. They could finish the season 6-6 and come back and be possible bowl bid. It just takes one win to get the motor rolling.
It's great to see Scott Frost, a former national championship quarterback at Nebraska, his first win at his old program.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama, they win, and they haven't been selling out. So, Drew, you mentioned it, Ohio State potentially out of the top 4. Who are your 4 teams that are currently in the college football playoff?
So it's going to be Alabama, Clemson, LSU is going to get in there.
Really?
And that 4 spot, I still could be Georgia. You never know. The SEC,
Not Notre Dame?
Notre Dame, I see falling off. The ACC, they're not tied.
They aren't ACC.
They're not tied to them, but they have to play an ACC schedule basically. I could see them falling off. They always seem to have that one game at the end of the season, like Penn State, Ohio State do. They always, or any Big Ten team, falls off, and I just don't see them making it. So LSU is going to prove who they are this week against Alabama. If they can contain Tua like nobody has, we might see him play in the fourth quarter for the first time.
I agree with you completely. LSU, I have them in my top 4. But for me, I don't have Clemson. I have Notre Dame in my top 4.
You don't have Clemson in your top 4?
No, I have Michigan in my top 4. I think they're a top 4 team right now.
Yeah, no, Michigan's definitely played a lot better.
Yeah, since their game against Notre Dame.
I can't take Clemson out of that, even if they don't have Kelly Bryant, and their quarterback right now is getting injured every now and then. That third string, you never really know. But I don't think with the ACC, even though it is so deep, I think Clemson just has a strong hold on that.
But speaking about LSU, why I have them in, they have top 10 wins over Miami, Georgia, Auburn. They're 7th in the nation in points allowed, and their pass defense, their secondary is unreal. I think they're going to be a big test for Tua this weekend.
Yeah, LSU for me is right on the edge, number 4, possible number 4 spot. I have Notre Dame number 3, and then Clemson number 2, Alabama number 1. But my question, if UCF goes undefeated the rest of the year, that's over 20 straight wins, do they deserve a spot if LSU happens to have a two-loss LSU, a possible 1-loss Notre Dame?
I don't even think in a crazy chaos scenario that UCF should get in. I'm sorry. They just don't have. They play the type of schedule that warrants getting in. And it's a great story, but they could still play in a New Year's Six bowl against a conference loser.
Give it to them,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They've proven the or the bowl committee has proven you have to win.
But
you have to
it's
win
26
power.
straight wins, though.
26 straight wins
Against
who? The American Conference is not powerhouse.
Is that
I mean, one of the wins
FAU?
is over Auburn, which, SEC school, pretty decent
Alrighty.
team last year. So
One win.
1-1.
Win-win.
And Auburn's kind of fallen off. They've
Yeah.
lost to Tennessee a few weeks ago.
Oh, well, that's all the time we have for this block. Up next, I'm going to be joined by Blake and Zach to break down the latest NFL headlines. So stay tuned.